Connor Zary continues to shine, and is Noah Hanifin close to re-signing? Hey everyone, welcome into Burning Questions. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Postmedia Calgary Flames writers Wes Gilbertson and Danny Austin. And guys, when we spoke about Connor Zary earlier this season, we have jokingly spoke about the Calder Trophy candidacy, but here we are a few weeks later, and he's fifth in rookie scoring. We know that Connor Bedard is going to be out for at least 6 weeks with a fractured jaw, so I'm just saying it could be on the table. But Danny, you wrote about Zary recently. What has allowed him to keep up this impressive play?
I mean, everyone raves about his work, but I will quickly add, sure, he's fifth in rookie scoring. He's second in scoring per game played, behind only Connor Bedard. So, this guy absolutely, if we were whispering about the Calder Trophy race before, people are shouting it from the rooftops here in Calgary now, as they should. This guy has been just an unequivocal success. I will totally admit that he was on my radar for making the team this season. At some point, he was not on my radar at all for doing this preseason. If you go back and read my stuff, there was a lot of talk about other players. I don't need to name them, but Zary has been a massive success. It's just a good news story. It's weird to have here in Calgary or any Canadian market just something that, on a scale of 0 being negative and 100 being positive, he is a complete positive, and it's amazing to see. And yeah, I think that it's worth celebrating and getting excited about.
I just want to clarify for Danny, it's too cold to shout anything from a rooftop right now in Calgary, but people from their indoor abodes are certainly getting more and more excited about what Connor Zary is doing. And yes, he's going to be in that conversation at least to be a Calder Trophy finalist. And listen, you could go up and down the list. There's 6 or 7 guys for sure who merit consideration, but kudos to Connor Zary. He's muscled his way into that conversation. Another 2 points against the Ottawa Senators on Tuesday, and what struck me most was his most important play actually doesn't wind up on the score sheet. He's the guy who forces the turnover that leads to Blake Coleman's go-ahead goal. And the Flames are kind of off to the races from there. And so, we always talk with young players, and Connor Zary's only 22 years old, about consistency. Well, 31 games into an NHL career that's seen him scoring at the fastest clip by a Flames rookie since some guys named Gaudreau and Iginla. There's a lot to like about not just the way he's playing, but the way he's keeping it up. He's been a really nice story, a really positive, as Danny said, and a breakout, I suppose, story for the Calgary Flames.
So we got a bit of an update from Hockey Night Canada's Elliot Friedman reporting that contract talks between the Flames and Noah Hanifin are up and running again on a potential extension. Wes, what are your thoughts on this latest development?
Well, I think you should expect to hear this about Elias Lindholm and Chris Tanev as well, who are the other marquee unrestricted free agents here in Calgary. And the reason I say that is because as Craig Conroy, now 2 months out from the trade deadline, decides what to do with these guys, you need to know what the latest is on their contract ask. And that's a huge part of deciding whether you're ultimately going to trade them is, can we fit them into the salary structure? Are they part of our future plans? So I think people are maybe getting a little too excited about the latest report that those conversations with Noah Hanifin are happening again. I'm not saying it couldn't result in an extension, but this is just good work by Craig Conroy. You need to know kind of where a guy is on potentially staying. That'll help you make the decision closer to March 8th.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it better than Wes did. The reality is we're less than 2 months away from the trade deadline. You're not making those decisions on guys who have been here for a couple of years, who have been a big part of the core of this team, which has had some success, without at least getting an idea of whether you can afford them and what they want. And if it doesn't match what the Flames can afford, and realistically, they are going to have to re-sign Rasmus Andersson to a big contract in the next couple of years. They've already got Mackenzie Weegar signed to a pretty big contract. So the question is, do you want 3 defensemen in that $7 million or more range? And you may decide that you don't, but it's just doing due diligence. You've got to check, and I will say that Noah Hanifin is younger than Tanev and Lindholm, and I think is a guy who is very much still entering his prime or in the early stages of his prime. And you've spent a lot of money on developing him, and you've invested a ton of time in him. So it only makes sense that he's a guy who you would want to keep around if you can, and if you can afford him under your current structure.
Lastly, guys, we are at the midway point of the season. It's been a rocky road to get here to this point. Danny, if you were to use one word to describe this team so far, what would it be?
Uncertainty. I mean, I think the weird thing about this team is that we've had these three contracts that Wes referenced with Tanev, with Hanifin, with Lindholm. We had Backlund going into the season. Obviously, Zadorov has been traded. It's brought a sense of urgency in terms of figuring out what this team is and what their long-term projection is, because it means it effectively you have to make a decision on those guys, and that decision is sort of going to define the direction of the next 5 to 6 years, probably, of this franchise. So, look, what is this team? They're a team that's probably still in wild card contention in the Western Conference. I don't think any of us really believe they're a Stanley Cup contender. But if you've really wanted to see one thing or another, I don't think you have. I don't think you've seen that this is a bottom-out team that's going to get the first overall pick in the next year or two. But I also don't think that they necessarily look like a contender. So, I don't know. I think they're exactly what we thought that they were, and yet also I have no idea what they're going to do with the future, and that lingers over all of it.
I'm going to agree and disagree with Danny at the same time, because as I was thinking about the first half of the Flames season, and they're exactly 500 right now, the word that struck me was enlightening or revealing, because I think the fact that this group is only 500 is revealing it in the fact that this is a middle of the road group right now. And so Danny talks about the uncertainty, and that is absolutely applicable when it comes to maybe what decisions might come. But I think it's been sort of revealing for Craig Conroy. What he watches every night has shown him that this group, a group that we maybe didn't know exactly what to expect out of this season, they're not near contending, right? This isn't a team that is going to go on a fairy tale run. At least, I'd fall out of this press box if that happened. I'd be so surprised. And so in that way, while there is absolutely some uncertainty, I think the first half has been pretty revealing as well.
Well, that's a good way to
end it. There's some uncertainty there.
Yeah, things are under construction when it comes to this roster, that is for sure.
Yeah, the rebuild has started. You saw it here first.
Well, can't wait to see what's in store for the next 41. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below, or email us at calgaryflames@postmedia.com. For Wes Gilbertson and Danny Austin, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time on another Burning Questions.